Hi everyone, welcome to DIY Ideas. Today I'm going to show you how you can make your own bustier top with cups sewn inside. So this is what we're going to need today. So first off, some basic things we always need. So some fabric scissors, something to measure with, and some regular pins. Then some fabric chalk or anything else to measure with and mark with. Sorry, not measure. Then some thread in the matching color to the fabric. And then of course, we're going to use a pencil, a regular one, and then I have here some wax paper, and that's going to help us later. Then I have here some fabric that I'm going to use. It's something between full cotton and jersey fabric, so it's a little bit stretchy, but it's really great for tops and it's really comfortable to wear. So I also have this lovely color and I'm really excited to use it. So it should be pretty nice to wear even if it's really hot outside, and it's a little bit elastic, so it should fit nicely as well. And then here I have some cups from an old t-shirt that I'm going to take and do a new one out of it. So now what we need is basically the top section. So this is why I used some wax paper, so regular baking sheet paper. I basically took a top that I had just to have the size right, and it was just a regular black top like this, and then I just kind of saw or looked how big it was so that I don't make it too big or too small either. And then I folded it in half, basically did a circle shape here, and then I cut it out so that it's symmetrical on both sides. And you can of course take a look if this fits you, since everybody has a different bust size, which means that you're gonna need something bigger or smaller depending on your size. So this is the size that I'm gonna fit, and then I have here basically the exact same shape that I already want with the fabric. So now we're gonna cut that out and then we can move on. Okay, so now that I cut out the main part of fabric, we can basically get to the measurements and the pins. So we're gonna need for the top section 4 pieces, so they're going to be on the front and on the back of each of the cups, which means 2 times 2 is 4. So that way it's not only going to look good, it's also going to keep the little cup in place from both sides. So I'm just going to basically place this on here, and I'm going to do 1.5 centimeters more on each side just so I have enough for the stitches. So also another tip, if you're using fabric leftovers, you might need to improvise a little bit. So with the first one, everything worked perfectly with the first pair, and then with the second pair of these pieces, I actually didn't have enough room for the stitch space, so I didn't have the 1.5 centimeters on the side. So I basically had to cut it out without it. So this just means that I'm going to have to work a little bit closer to the edge when I get there. But this is not going to be an issue since I used a little bit more fabric, or I calculated a little bit more fabric than I actually need, so it should work just fine. Okay, so we want to do our straps as well. So I have here basically 2 stripes that are 60 centimeters long each, and it's about 2 centimeters wide. So I cut this out, and then I'm going to do straps out of this. So I'm going to turn this the other way around, and then I'm going to fold it in half. And then what I'm going to do is stitch up the open side, basically to get a little tunnel and a neat strap. So of course you can iron over it if you think that's going to help you and make things easier, but that's an optional step. You can of course use some bias tape if you already have that, but I have a different video where I show all the different ways how you can do that. So if you want to check that out, it's going to be somewhere up here to click on. And that's going to make it a lot easier. So now that we have our straps done, we can get to the last step of the top section. So we're going to finish it up. So I'm putting it pretty side on pretty side, these little sections here, and then I'm going to open it up and I'm going to put the strap on the inside. Of course, when we turn it inside out later, it's going to look just right. So the strap is going to be on the right side that way. Of course, I'm going to leave a little bit on here on the inside later so that everything stays in place when you wear it. It doesn't do anything weird. So anyway, I'm going to pin this now in the exact middle just to keep it in place. And then I'm going to pin the edges as well so that we have everything that we need to get to our stitches. So then what I'm going to do is basically do a stitch from the one side on top and then to the other side. So just make sure that you do a regular straight stitch here and then leave this bottom side open for now so that we can turn it inside out. Of course, you can do an extra stitch or a seam stitch if you want on these sides. So everyone, this is what it looks like now that we're done, and you can see the one side is already turned inside out. You may have also seen in the video that I did little cuts on here all the way to the stitch, but not through the stitch. So that way when you turn it inside out, it has a nice edge and it doesn't do anything weird. Doesn't wrinkle because of this inside section. So just make sure to keep the stitch hole, that's what matters, and then apart from that, it's going to work really great and make it look a lot neater. So yeah, since I have this done, now we need the bottom section that connects everything nicely. So let's do that. Okay, so now we're doing the bottom part of our top, and yeah, it should be something like a loop, so something like a tunnel that basically goes around your body and has these little pieces on top. So that way we're going to have our top actually done. So in my case, I have here about 40 times 40 centimeters. You may need a little bit more or a little bit less. What you want to do is just measure your waist size and your hip size so that you have the right size. So below my bust, I have about 75 centimeters, which means that I need 80 centimeters, a little bit more because of the stitches and everything on the top section. And yeah, then I can fix it a little bit. So make it a little bit wider than you need, and then you're going to be able to work with it a lot easier later. And yeah, of course, the length is completely up to you, so you can do it shorter or longer. What I'm gonna do is fold it in half so that I have basically a doubled layer on all sides, so just like we had with these top little pieces. So then we're gonna turn them inside out and it's gonna look really good. So yeah, the first step is now to basically connect these sides. So I'm gonna do a regular straight stitch and then a seam stitch on there so that we have the shape that we need, the front and the back. And then in the next step, I'm gonna fold it in half. So now that we did the sides, we can turn it inside out, but I'm going to turn it inside out halfway. So this is what I meant with folding in half. So here is what we're going to do. So we want both edges basically to align from the front and the back section. And yeah, then what we want to do is take our top section. So just make sure that everything's nicely aligned before you move to the next step. And yeah, then we can take the top little bits, and we are also going to need our cups now. So we're going to put them to the inside and just stick them in there. And yeah, then it's going to keep its shape later too. So when we do that for both pieces, then we're going to take our bottom section and we're going to just open this up. So first the front section, that's where we need the cups to be. So we're just going to push them to the inside a little bit And of course, here it's completely up to you if you want to have a little space here between them or if you want to have them a little bit wider apart. And yeah, then what we're going to do is basically do a stitch here on top. Once or twice is just fine, and then we're going to have our top almost done. So yeah, on the back side, we're not going to do the cups, but we're going to do the straps. So you can just take a look at what fits you. Of course, when you do the cups on the front, then you can decide where you want your straps to be on the back. Then just basically push them to the inside between the two back layers and stitch that side up. Again, 1 or 2 straight stitches is gonna do just fine. So you guys, here is my pretty much done top. I hope you guys like the way it looks and I hope you found it easy to do. I did definitely. And yeah, you can see here what it looked like after I did the stitch on the front. So of course, as I said, you can do the cups closer to one another or wider apart. That's completely up to you. And yeah, apart from that, you have a really cool top that you can do in a matter of minutes with some leftover fabric that you already had at home. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to shoot a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe, click on the notification bell, and I'll see you next time. Bye!